Hey everybody, this is Chris Chipman, aka The Chippa here. Welcome back to another episode of Shooting the Shit with Chippa, a very special one. We're doing this kind of dual thing going on with me and another show. Before I get into exactly what that is and who my special guest is, which is a returning guest that you all know and love, I'd like to thank my $15 or more a month patrons. You are Aaron Moriarty, Andrew Krause, Seth Comfort, collaborating online, Seth Decker, Shore Hansen, Goosestead, Robert V. Aldrich, Mike the Gatherer, Kevin CV, Alex Peregrine, Alex Shaw, Geeks with Shields, Green Goblin, Patricia Chipman, Brendan Agnew, Christopher Finnick, and GD. And this episode, because nepotism is wonderful, is brought to you by the Walk With Me gaming channel and also by Desert Bus. And with that, I would like to welcome Mark Gaydosh to the show.
Hello, and welcome back to Welcome to Gaming as well. So, yeah, we are doing kind of a double episode. I've been a guest on Chris's show several times. Chris, I hope you can see. Oh, is this working?
I can
No,
see and hear. Your mouse is moving. I know that.
It is. And let me click. Must drive. I don't know. I hope I didn't screw it up. Well, anyway, maybe I'll just edit this from my thing. So sorry, guys. We're trying to do basically a double episode where I'm playing a game while Chris is recording his podcast. So we're kind of doubling up. There we go. We'll just do it from this way. It's going to be a smaller screen, and I'll just edit it. But anyway, I'm sure this is great for your podcast listeners.
It's wonderful. So everybody, what's going on is Mark is clicking, and he's clicking.
Yeah.
No.
So here's what's going on. I wanted to do a special kind of mixed podcast. So I record a show, Walk With Me Gaming, on YouTube. It is just it's another Let's Play channel, as there's way too many of. And I wanted to do something interesting for the upcoming Desert Bus for Hope, which happens every year in November. And I found in the Desert Bus subreddit, someone had made this game called Road Trip that was basically a tribute to that. So instead of 8 hours of driving, it's only 1 hour. And I decided, how am I going to make it interesting to talk for an entire hour and have people listen to my stupid voice? And then I'm like, maybe I should work with getting a guest. And we thought, like, hey, Chris, we want to record a show anyway, so let's go ahead and do this. So much like the actual Desert Bus game, which we'll kind of explain, where the bus drifts to the right, this game also does that. So as I'm driving, I have to be constantly correcting. So and it's just going to be me driving for an hour while Chris and I do our podcast. So from now on, if anyone's watching on my channel, you will see me continuously driving this ridiculous car the whole time while we talk. And for anyone listening to Chris's show, they can just enjoy our regular podcast shenanigans. So
and my podcast will have a link to the video version on his as well. So
that would be lovely
to do both.
Yeah. So, how have you been, Chris?
Oh man, it's been quite a couple of years, my friend. So Mark and I recorded something earlier in the year that will be released after this because things just get crazy. But when we were talking then, we were talking about the world opening back up. This was back in April, and we were talking about being excited for the summertime and concerts and all of this stuff. And then the Delta variant happened, and things got weird. But I would like to say that I got to at least go to one of the multiple concerts that I bought tickets for. When Mark's on, we often talk about music and going to shows and things like that. And I did have to skip the Green Day concert, which was a huge bummer. In retrospect, we probably shouldn't have. We were both vaccinated. But Fenway Park wasn't doing anything to make you feel better about that. There was really no mask mandate, and there was really no requirement to be vaccinated. So we felt, having children and being around family and friends that were all vaccinated, that, a chance of not spreading the Delta variant was a good idea. So we didn't go. I've seen a recording of the whole show. It was amazing. There doesn't appear to have been any incidents. Fall Out Boy had to drop out of that leg of the tour because someone in their road crew got COVID. But luckily no one else did, which is good news. But I got to go see Less Than Jake.
Yes.
They jumped on the Pop Punk Still Not Dead tour with Newfound Glory.
Oh,
And
that's right. Because they replaced someone, didn't they?
they
Wasn't it?
replaced Simple Plan. I guess someone in
That's it.
Simple Plan's camp was, and again, this is all hearsay, but what I read is someone in Simple Plan's camp had an issue with the mandates on the tour.
Ew.
Not like someone in the band, but someone in like the
Yeah.
planning group, and
Mm.
so they dropped out. And it has to have been that way because they were being really cynical about them. Like Newfound Glory was kind of shitting on them, like when they came onto the stage. So I'm like, okay, but yeah, Less Than Jake dropped on, so it ended up being a really cool show. I love when a band that I really like is an opening act for another band, because I just saw, oh, Less Than Jake's playing a show. I need to get back out to a show. They're my favorite band. I'm gonna go. And I was like, oh man, icing on the cake. I get to see Newfound Glory. I haven't seen them in forever, and it was just wonderful. But have you ever heard of the bands Lolo or Hot Mulligan?
I know of Hot Mulligan. I think they were on Riot Fest one year. Don't think I saw them.
They must have,
and
yeah.
I don't know the other one.
So Lolo's really cool, and again, Lolo is, I mean, it's just a girl. She, that's her name, that's her stage name. But she has a great backing band. They all seem to really get along really well. Their stage persona is great, but she's adorable. She reminds me of what would have happened if Avril Lavigne never went pop. Do you know what I mean? Because she's a little bit more grown up, but she's just a punk rock girl. You know what I mean? Like just up there having a good time. And she's from Canada, and the songs were great. They were tight. They fit exactly what the name of that tour was. Pop Punk Still Not Dead. This is like what you'd expect in 2002, kind of like Paramore, things like it had that kind of vibe.
Out of that time frame.
And she had a great stage presence, and she was a riot. And like, what I loved is she came on and she was like, "Hey, I'm Lolo. You probably have no idea who the fuck I am. I'm gonna try to change that." And then like you got 2 or 3 songs in, and she goes, "Hey, you probably still don't know who the fuck I am, but you know the song Teenage Dirtbag by American Hi-Fi, right?"
Oh,
and then she covered that, and I was like, all right, this is great. And it was awesome. And then so Hot Mulligan was cool because you've got Lolo doing like the pop punk Warped Tour, like early to mid 2000s, right? Then you've got Hot Mulligan, which are a bunch of like 23 to 25-year-old guys in 2021 being nostalgic for the sound of bands like Taking Back Sunday and Brand New.
I thought they were more on the kind of like emo post-hardcore indie kind of sound. Yeah, but good.
So it fit really well, and I say that with the cynicism of someone that loved that stuff and looks back on it kind of the way we all look back on Limp Bizkit and kind of go, on a little of it. But when they're good, they're good. Like Taking Back Sunday, they were a fantastic band. They were just
absolutely
singing a particular kind of music. These guys had that whole you're exactly right. It was like a mix of like an indie rock band and post-hardcore emo. So like and like when they came on stage, the place erupted, and I'm not used to that with an opening band. And the place erupted, but the place was mostly like people my age. So I'm like, holy shit, people love Hot Mulligan. This is great. and now I really like Hot Mulligan. I've looked up a bunch of their stuff. They follow that trend of bands like that naming the songs incredibly complicated things that's nonsense. Like,
oh man,
one of my favorite songs of theirs is "How Do You Know It's Not Armadillo Shells?"
I love bands that do that. I love when bands go back to that. There's actually a band coming up that I want to go see. I'm trying to swing someone to take my shift at work to get it, but there's a post-hardcore. They're almost like a throwback to MySpace era like screamo bands. They're called See You Space Cowboy, all one word. Have you heard of them?
No, but I love the name.
They're phenomenal.
It's perfect.
It's as they call themselves sasscore, which is pretty accurate because it's got that full-on screamo sound. The lead singer is a trans woman, and she's phenomenal. And they are just they do the same thing, the naming schemes for like all their songs. It's like that. It's such a nostalgic sound where you're just like you could be touring with Devil Wears Prada 15 years ago.
Yes.
Like it's that perfect combination. So I love the bands that still pull that crap. Also, I don't know if you've noticed the screen going darker. Apparently, this game does also have the shift into nighttime, as is the Desert Bus, though
Oh,
maybe with slightly more stylistic appearance,
the,
which is
the
just kind of
sad
funny.
thing, the sad thing I didn't want to tell you is I'm not seeing your screen move.
Oh no! Oh well, that's okay.
But that's
It
okay. I
You
know
can
what the
watch it
game
later.
looks like, but I know what the game looks like. So to describe to people, what Mark is playing that aren't watching, it's a beautiful, lush kind of like cell shaded but very minimalistic looking like on the side of a river road in the desert. And
Empty deserts
I
with
would really like to see it moving because it's
it's
beautiful.
and I'm driving. It's like an old classic car. And the funny thing with this game too is that there is a radio, which is something more than Desert Bus offers. But I'm not playing the songs because they do seem to be newer, and so I don't want to get hit with copyright strikes. But maybe
Womp
I'll post
womp.
them in the sounds, or you could just play. Anyone can play the game because it's also free on itch. Like I said, it's called Road Trip. It's by creator Klopoty, Klopoty. So anyone who wants to play a game where you drive a car down a straight road for an hour, if you got time to wait, if your job is that boring, this is an option for you.
I love it.
And you can play it in your browser too, so you don't even have to download the game. I'm already like we've been recording for like 15 minutes, and my fingers are already starting to get sore from just holding down the W key continuously.
That's great. Another
um,
I was thinking through the songs because I love clever song titles, especially when they're weird and clever, and like a
yeah.
lot of them seem to be in jokes because whenever they play them live, like the singer will make a funny quip,
Oh yeah, it
and I'm
makes
like, all
sense.
right, this is a total in joke to like somebody he knows. But my favorite song title of theirs is featuring Mark Hoppus. That's the name of the song, and it is not featuring Mark
It's-
Hoppus.
no, of
That's
course not.
that's the best part.
That's
And
that's pretty solid.
I'm pretty sure they call it that because the chorus like has the words "I miss you" in it.
Oh
So
God.
that was kind of like the gag. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like someone was just listening to the self-titled Blink album and going, "Oh, all right."
We could
But
do this.
I think it's really clever. They've got they've got so many. They just blew me away because like Less Than Jake. What
You
I
knew
love
it's gonna be good.
what I love about Less Than Jake, and you've seen them before, right?
Oh yeah, like
So
4 times.
so this band that like 20 years ago would not have fit in a Less Than Jake show, right? It's the
Yep.
kind of band you'd see play with Less Than Jake at Warped Tour, but this is not the kind of band they would have brought on tour with them. They would have brought another ska band or another, local
Yep.
punk band or something. So
Yep.
it was really cool to see a room full of people that were there to see, well, basically there to see Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
Um, like really open up to these other bands, and it felt more like a Warp Tour, a mini Warp Tour kind of show than it
Yeah.
felt like one group doing one thing. Like, there was a dad there with his son, and he's like, my son's 15, this is his first show, I want to get him in the pits and show him what like a good, respectful but still get beat up a little bit mosh pit is like. And I'm like, you're definitely at the right show.
Uh,
The
I
thing
if only I was so kind to my brother when bringing him to his first Warp Tour. I was like, "This is Devil Wears Prada," and push. There you go.
Yeah. I took my cousin, oh, sorry, not my cousin, my cousin's stepdaughter when she was 13 to her first Warp Tour, and she was all excited, and I was like, this band's called Kill Switch Engage. Have you ever
Oh
heard of A
boy,
Wall of Death?
because it's happening.
Yeah. And so she got inoculated very quickly. Um, but that was a good time. But this was so cool because it also was a reminder that Newfound Glory started as a hardcore band, so their
I
fans.
did not know that.
I don't know, and you if go back and listen to the music,
Huh.
and you'll get it because they're still playing they're
They
playing
still
like
have their moments, like,
their
and
riffs are heavy like a Thrice or a Thursday or a
yeah.
band like that, but the singing is not, and I
Oh yeah.
love that mix. I love the
Huh.
mix because their pits are crazy,
Oh, I'm
and like
sure.
even
I
and it's not something you expect. It's the happiest, you know, nasaliest, high pitched music ever, and people are breaking down like it's a Slipknot show, and it's wonderful. You know what I mean? I love it.
and I'm sure for this, like, people, for all you know, like, this is probably a lot of people's first shows back, and everyone's just like, we're cutting loose, we're having fun,
Well, it
and
was mine, and I want to talk about that too, and then I want to shift to you talking about your experiences too, because
yeah,
obviously this is 2 years of terror, right? We've been
yep,
in the middle of right now, and this was literally the first time I've been in an indoor place
yeah,
with that many people that wasn't like to food shop or to work, right?
right.
So
Like, you're crammed into a place, like, not just surrounded by people, but shoulder to shoulder with people.
right. So my day job, I'm, and again, this is not to get like brownie points or anything, but I I am not the kind of person that was able to work from home for a long period of time. They set us
Yep,
up, they tried to make it work. It didn't work. It maybe worked for like a week and a half for me, and then I went back to work full time. Then I was home because my wife got COVID. Luckily I
right,
didn't. But this and that and the other. But like with work, everybody's either vaccinated now or wears a mask. And now,
right.
last week, they told us, hey, the government says everybody has to be vaccinated. So there's like 5 people that are just leaving.
Yep,
So that
yep.
that that's the reality we're in. But
We're about to
this,
hit that too. I work at a hospital, and I think the final date is November 1st, and
yep,
I don't know what people are going to end up leaving. I know my team is pretty much all that. I believe everyone on my team is vaccinated, but I don't know about everyone else. And I work with a lot of people who, if they leave, we're going to be screwed because we need people.
right. Oh yeah. So the way I looked at this show was it's vaccine required
Yep.
or you had to have a negative test. So
Yep.
cool. I'm gonna go. That was the final thing. It's no worse than being at work, and I'm gonna
Yep.
wear a mask the whole time. But at the same time, this is now October. It's yeah, the Delta variant's out there. Yeah, I was terrified of it. But I'm also in a room with people that are required to be safe.
Yep.
But you're in a club, and the
Yeah.
breakdown with clubs is that the mask mandates say you have to wear a mask unless you're eating or drinking. So of
Yep.
course every idiot just had a beer in their hand,
Everyone has a beer. Yep.
and then no one's mask is on.
No.
So, and of course if you're in the pit and you're in the crowd, no
Yeah.
one. It's so did I? Yeah, I still had a mask on when I was running around out there, but no
Yep.
one else did.
Yeah.
And I still said, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna enjoy myself, and nothing came of it, thankfully.
Yeah.
Everyone was, but it was really good to be surrounded by people just joyously having a good time.
Oh yeah.
And you could still tell it, excuse me, it was set up, with COVID in mind. The bands, each band that went on had a different crew. And I was talking to Krista Makes actually from Less Than Jake, because he had said next time I'm in Boston I want to be on your show.
Oh
And
yeah.
I said, oh dude, hey, just wanted to let you know, FYI, I'll take you up on that offer if you want, but I know it's probably weird with COVID, but I'm
Right.
following up. And he goes, dude, I'm real sorry, but we can't see anyone not on the tour. And my reaction to that was, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna poke
No.
that. But he said, see anyone? Was he gonna come and like hang out? Like I just wanted to do it virtually.
I think
Shit,
he might have.
that's awesome.
Damn.
So I'm gonna follow up with that at a later date.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. So he said their group, their roadies, they couldn't be on the same tour buses. They could not interact on the
Wow.
tour with each other. So it was really weird. And the stage like was pushed back. The
Mm-hmm.
pit for catching the crowd surfers was like double the size it normally is. It was very, I mean, I'm glad the bands should be protected, right? They're in front of
Yeah.
different people every day.
And they're
Like
trying
that.
to work. They're going between all these places, and like they're trying to provide this service. They're, providing jobs for everyone, both in the concert venues and on their tour. Like,
Oh yeah.
they want to stay safe. They want to make this work.
And it felt so good to go up to the bar and just be like, hey, let me get a beer, whatever, and have them go, oh, absolutely, and then turn around and tip them really fucking well, because I don't care if a beer is over $10, I'm tipping this
Yep.
person.
Nope.
And it
You got
wasn't
to
like
do
the
it.
normal, like, scene kid, bartenders you get. There's you're like, oh, I'm just so fucking sick of all these people. You got like a thank you so goddamn much.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, because they've been, I mean, the fact that they're still employed somehow after all
Yeah.
of this is unbelievable, right? So
Absolutely.
so how
It's
is
so
how was
good.
your experiences?
My experience was absolute madness in the best way. So we talked about last. Oh, guys, daytime. I just got through the night. And I gotta say, I'm loving this this style of things. I know you can't see it, but it is
No, what's
funny because
crazy
it's
is
just.
I'm seeing your mouse move. I'm seeing your mouse move on the screen. I just don't see the game.
Okay. Well, at least I hope my video is capturing, but if it's not, oh well, at least you've got a podcast out of it. But but it's just fun because it feels like talking to a buddy on a road trip.
Well, no, and you know what, dude? Seriously, if it doesn't work out, just record yourself playing the game and then
Oh,
edit
that's a
this
good
over it.
point because it really doesn't matter because it's not like I'm gonna do different things. It's one
Right,
hour driving anyway.
right,
So
right. No, you got to get a
really,
show out of this, or it's not
oh,
fun.
absolutely. But yeah, so my experience, and we discussed this in May, which I in May had I had COVID yet?
I don't
Did we
think
talk about
so.
that?
I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
think so.
I got fully vaccinated and I did end up getting COVID.
That
Um,
I no, you
and it
definitely
sucked.
didn't when we recorded, because I remember seeing you post about it and I reached out to you because I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit, dude, like what the hell?
Yep. But luckily, both me and my wife were both vaccinated, and it sucked for like 4 days. But after that, we were okay. Although I got a rash, which apparently is a thing that can happen, like full on, like looked like poison ivy up and down my arms and legs, miserable.
Oh, who makes this game, by the way? You said
Klopity, Klopity. It's on itch.io.
I was just looking to see if there was a picture of it on YouTube so I could at
I
least
I'm
see
gonna
it.
laugh.
There
I
isn't.
bet you there's very little. I mean, this is
Nope.
a tiny indie game
Good.
on itch, so
Good. I'm glad.
maybe I'll be the first. But
Keep going. Sorry. Yeah. So
but yeah, no, you're good.
you got the weird COVID shit.
I got weird COVID and it sucked, and we only realized it. We only realized we caught it because we were kind of like, oh, like I don't remember what initially started, but at one point I was about to go to work, and my wife's like, hey, smell dinner, and I was like, I can't, and she's like, I can't
Oh.
either, and that was how we found out. And I was worried because after I came home from the festival, my allergies started up because it's fall now, and my allergies go crazy during spring and fall. And I was worried for a minute because at one point I did lose my sense of smell, and I was like, crap, I gotta get tested again. Luckily, it came back negative, but for all I know, maybe I lose my sense of smell every year, and I just never noticed it until I started thinking about it because it's such a focus now with it being a symptom. So, but I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I went to Firefly Festival in Dover, Delaware,
Hell
and
yeah.
that was insane. So it was our first festival in almost exactly 2 years, because the last one we went to was Riot Fest in 2019 in September. So this one was pushed back. We had initially wanted to go in 2020 because they had both Billie Eilish and Rage Against the Machine, but they canceled that. So this year they had Billie Eilish, Lizzo, The Killers, and Tame Impala as the big headliners. And oh my God, dude, there was nothing like it. This was maybe one of the best festival experiences we ever had. In part, I think because we camped for the first time ever, have never
That's
camped
awesome.
before. And since we've never camped before, we're like, I have no idea how we're gonna like this, so let's do it a little special. So we did the glamping with a pre-set up tent that had air conditioning and a bed and electricity and all this other stuff. So it was actually really nice. And we managed to get the campsite that was adjacent to the festival. So we could literally walk in from our tent to the second biggest stage of the festival less than 5 minutes. So we could
Unbelievable.
go in and out. if we felt like we could go back to our tent and sit and drink a beer and sit in the shade for a bit and then go back into the show. And that made it a hell of an experience. And we also got VIP, so we also could go up close on the side because we're like, this is our one festival of the year. Let's make it special.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it was interesting because they also, had the rule of you need to either have the negative test or the COVID vaccination. And I think and for it being an outdoor festival, obviously a lot of people aren't going to wear masks, and I knew that. And we brought ours in because you were required to like wear them in, but you weren't required to keep them on, which was a little odd, but whatever. And I
guess I'm thinking they, for the queues and everything, people are going to be close together. So I get that.
Yeah. And that was also partially why we went with the VIP, because we're like, let's go in an area where we can be kind of separated from the giant crowds, which was also really nice. But man, it was a hell of a show. I think we only had a few acts that we were mildly disappointed with, and even then it wasn't bad. And it was a 4-day festival. If I talked about everything in it, I'd be talking for like 3 hours.
Of course, of course.
But we got there Thursday. Unfortunately, it rained Thursday, so it actually they had to cut down like 5 hours of the show. So a few of the opening acts didn't play, and then they had to push a few of them closer together. Like this one actually does a cool thing where their headliner does not play against anyone. So you don't have to debate, oh crap, I want to see this little act, but the headliner's playing. No, you get to see the headliner by themselves. You don't have to worry about any conflicts. However, because of this, we did have some mild conflicts, which was a little upsetting because they had to push everything back late. So we got to see a whole bunch of good ones. Mizio was fantastic. I don't know if you know them. They're like the song Middle Fingers is their big one.
Yep.
And then the strangest act of the whole thing, which was modern hardcore legends Turnstile playing. Have you heard their new album, dude?
No.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. It's so good because it's like all their hardcore-ness, but mixed into almost like synth indie pop sounds at times. Like it's such a weird mix, and it works so well. And it was so funny their scene because the crowd did everything that you'd expect from a hardcore show, like full on pits all the way around, all the way to the back. Like it was absolute madhouse. And I was just like, I can't believe there's this many people this excited for Turnstile when everyone else is like pop acts and rap acts and all that stuff. So but it was great. And then Billie Eilish was that night, who was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
she blew us away.
She blows me away. It's one of those things where like you can't not respect how freaking great that person is.
She really is, and we don't know what to expect. We don't see many pop acts, so the idea of like a solo person coming out on stage and being a headliner, we're like, how is this going to hold up? And boy, did she deliver. 100% unquestionable. Probably best act of the weekend. I personally, I'll get to my favorite act of the weekend, but she's very close second. And unfortunately, because of them scrunching everyone together, I missed most of one act that I wanted to see, which was Mark Reblitz. I don't know if you've seen his stuff on YouTube, but he's the dude who does like the looping songs where he'll like record loops himself and just like build a song on the fly.
Right.
And he's just an insane man, because you'll look up at the stage and he's like in his underwear with a bottle of champagne crowd surfing on people, and he's just a good time.
I love it. I love that there's still that acts like that can be mixed in, like an act like that, a hardcore band, Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
And the crowd is just like, yeah, of course. Like we're here for all of this. Thanks, everybody.
It was wild. And then the next day, I'm just like trying to go through like the best of. But one I got to tell you about is called Pom Pom Squad. They are an up and coming band. They've got a very, I almost want to say like kind of like if you mixed a bit of indie rock with like the 80s, 90s Riot Girl movement kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
They've just got this great feel to it. Their look is like they've got the lead singer's got like these big fancy ridiculous dresses, and like the rest of the band's all like dressed up, and like I swear their guitarist looks like he's trying to go for like a full on like Elvis impression. And they were so good. And then one of the big acts that I wanted to see the most was Kenny Hoopla, who is dude, like I it almost drives me crazy that Travis Barker is like now associating himself with like every like rap artist and like every like emo rapper who wants to make like a rock album. And he made a recent album with Kenny Hoopla and like produced it and everything, and I'm like, this is great. And I'm worried that everyone's gonna look at this and be like, oh, another rapper that Travis Barker turned into a pop. No, Kenny Hoopla was making rock music before Travis Barker, and it was damn good, and it's still damn good. And god damn, he delivers as an artist. He is so exciting and like such a presence. Like, he didn't have a band, it was just him and his DJ, and he's up there just like screaming, dancing, he's spinning in circles, he's wearing like 4 layers of clothes. I'm like, how is he not dead? And he's diving into the crowd, singing like while crowd surfing. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw him doing that, because I saw some of the videos from he's on the Machine Gun Kelly tour, and I saw some videos of him doing that at Riot Fest, and I'm like, you've got 1 week till my show. Don't you dare get sick from jumping in that crowd. That was my first thought of just like, oh no, please, Kenny, please. But he managed to make it, and I was very excited. And unfortunately, he actually had to drop off that tour a little while later just for some like mental health stuff that he just needed a break. Which, maybe just being around Machine Gun Kelly, he just needed a break.
That's
yes.
a whole other thing.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'll get to that on Sunday. But he was phenomenal. There was a bunch of good rap acts that day. I saw Wiz Khalifa, who I did not expect to like, but he was so good.
Yeah, I've heard his stage show is really good.
Well, and that's the difference between, like, in my opinion, a good rap act of a live show versus a bad one. The old school acts know what they're doing. Wiz Khalifa was great. We saw Nelly there too. Nelly was phenomenal. And the big thing.
Oh, you saw Nelly? Oh, that would have been fucking awesome.
And they get up on stage and they're just like, we want to thank you all for being here. You guys are great. You're what makes us successful. You're what makes us come out here. We love you guys. All that, it's that love for the crowd and the respect for your fans that makes it a good show. And then you see other ones like these new up and comer kids like Jaden or Ian Dior, who come out and they're like, I'm the fucking greatest. I'm so amazing. And you're just like, you're a child and you don't know what you're doing yet.
Yep.
Like, that was the difference. Like, I wanted to like Ian Dior a lot more, but he just did not hold up. And then Cage the Elephant, I didn't know their singer was as insane as he was.
Oh yeah, he's out of his mind.
Was not ready for that. He's like, he had like a bodysuit on, and then halfway through he's like got it like stripped off where it's like just hanging down. So he's got like sleeves dangling off of him while he's just dancing around and gyrating on stage. He's like Perry Farrell level of weird sexuality. Yep. Of you're just like, okay, this is different.
Yeah, you're pretty sure you're gonna catch an STD from him just through the air.
Yes, he's just like hip thrusting into the crowd.
My friend saw them and was just like, said they were fine, like they put on a good show, but they're like, I'm pretty sure I watched a person go through a whole series of different weird ass trips.
Yeah,
like all while on stage. And I'm like, yeah, have you ever seen Perry Farrell before? Like, ever? Because he was licking like poles on the side of the stage one of the times I saw them. Like
Jane's, and I feel like Jane's and Aerosmith are both in that weird category of like these creepy, almost weird, where you're like, do you still love them? Like weird lead singers, and then that dynamic with their guitarist that just like works so well for a stage presence.
Yep. Oh yeah. Like, unbelievable.
You get that combo. And then the night finished with The Killers, who I watched the entire thing, and it was so good. Like, The Killers, everyone knows those first 2 albums, maybe not some of the ones in the middle. So unfortunately, like, they play like 2 songs big at the beginning, and then the rest of them are all at the end. But I was like, I'm waiting through it. I'm waiting to get to that Mr. Brightside and all those ones, and it was worth it.
Yeah,
Um,
they're a solid band. Like that's
absolutely. And like I feel like that lead singer, like if they were like an older band and one day they were like, we're gonna make a biopic and cast people, I'd be like Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is the lead singer for the Killers because he's got that kind of presence of just that like weird positivity and just energy and like just a smile that looks too big for his face at the time.
yeah. The
Like
Killers have this air of we are happy to be here. They've
I
just
mean,
always had that, and I
it's
think that's
almost like you
cool.
can read that like you're like when someone says they're from Las Vegas, you go, oh, that makes sense. That makes
Ah,
so much sense. um, but yeah, so
wow, we
that was
haven't died.
yeah,
Woohoo!
yeah. But yeah, that was Friday. Saturday was our slow day. We kind of just took it easy for that one. But the big standouts for that was Oliver Tree, who
Yeah.
is just God, he's the weirdest guy. He's just a meme. He's a meme personified. And he was perfect. He was exactly what we expected. And then Glass Animals, who we
Oh
did not
yeah.
know much of their stuff, but God, their live show. Holy crap, dude. They
My friend at work just saw them. They came to Boston. They
yeah.
played the Pavilion, which is right on the water. It's like my
Mhm.
favorite outdoor venue in Boston. It's really cool. It's like a tented outdoor venue right on the water. And he said,
Oh, I love those.
he
We
goes,
have
have you
one of
ever
those in
heard
Cleveland.
Glass Animals? And I'm like, oh yeah. And he goes, and I remember you mentioning you were going to see them.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was Euphoria, dude. They're like his favorite band. So it was just like,
They they delivered, and I'm sad because we didn't stick around for the whole thing, but at the end they have a song with Denzel Curry and they brought him out to do it, and that's the first time they've ever performed that live. And I was like, I'm sad I walked away from that, but how you can't know. Like
no, you
we're
just
we're
can't.
just like we were just kind of like done for the night because we were initially gonna like after we left that we were gonna go back and go see some other artists and then come back for Tame Impala, and we were both like, you know what? We're busy tomorrow and we don't really know any Tame Impala songs. And I'm sure any Tame Impala fan is going to be like, blasphemy. How dare you walk away from their show? But we were just like, we're old. We're tired. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's go to sleep now before things get crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's how you got to do it.
yeah. And then the last day, just everything was good. I ran in there early because, the one of the bands that was canceled Thursday got moved to Sunday called Eyeball, EYEBABAWL, and they
Nice.
they are like very much in the vein of like Hole
Oh
or like
yeah.
Babes in Toyland, where this grungy girl-led band, and God, they sounded great and also terrible, like in that way that you're supposed to as a grunge band. And like they did a cover of the what is it the There She Goes, the like Sixpence None the Richer and all those ones. Um, and that was just a cool sounding one and very surprising. Um, and then gosh, Claude was another great one, just a good like bedroom indie pop artist that just sounded great. And then that was the day where a lot of rappers, where we got Nelly and Denzel Curry and Megan the Stallion, who that was too much for me personally, but whatever. Um,
Never heard.
was that
Never heard.
Megan the Stallion?
Yeah.
You don't know WAP?
Oh, they did that. I didn't. What?
That's
I
her.
thought that was someone else for some reason.
It's
Okay.
it was it. I think that one's Nicki Minaj and her.
Okay, that would be why. Okay,
Yeah.
because I just thought it was a Nicki Minaj song.
Yeah, she's on there too, and she's in that same category as Nicki Minaj or Cardi B
The
and all that stuff.
funniest WAP story I have was sitting at John's of Bleecker Street in New York, like at the height of the pandemic. We drove
Uh-huh.
down there. We wanted to take my daughter to the American Girl store to get like a special doll. And we're like, you know what, we'll drive to New
Yeah.
York. No one's out, and no one was out. It was empty. It was like fucking 28 days later, and it
What a
was weird.
weird experience.
And to walk through Times Square and see nobody, like it was really creepy. But we were sitting at John's of Bleecker Street, and this guy, he must have been like in his 60s, like what white guy, trying to still spike the hair, but
Oh
it's
boy.
balding and white, with a button down shirt wide open with like, the greased like chest and the, gold chains and everything, comes driving by in a convertible blasting that song and laughing his ass off just on Bleecker Street, like by all the people outside eating,
Yep.
right? And he thought he was the funniest guy. He's like, oh, I'm like, all right.
I mean,
Yeah,
just why don't
she's
you?
saying dirty words. Oh
Yeah,
no.
like I'm pretty sure that Hot Dog by Limp Bizkit exists too. You could just do that, you know.
Oh, that would be sexist. Okay, I guess sorry, I got nothing.
Or
But I
any
just thought it was
ICP
really
song.
funny. I thought it was just really funny. I don't
I
know.
find it funny that you actually have a story about that song, which is great. Um, but yeah, that was that one was it was just a little much for us because at a certain point you're just like I'm just watching a strip show and I'm just
Yep.
like I think I'm done. I think I'm good. Like it was fine, but it was just it's a little much. And then we saw just a couple more indie artists. We saw Lovely the band and Portugal the Man and
Portugal the
something to
Man,
something.
they're great.
They were also great. Also, I love that they opened their show with just like a medley of like Pantera and Black Sabbath and Nirvana and just a bunch of other stuff just to have fun with it.
Isn't it
Uh,
great?
and then I went over and saw Gracie Abrams, who is a up and coming indie artist who is also the daughter of J.J. Abrams. So I'm sure she doesn't have
Of
any
course.
connections. She's making it on her own, but whatever. She makes good music. I don't care. And then
Mass Hysteria, one of the movies I reviewed for the Salem Horror Fest, one of the co-stars, like the not main stars of the movie, were Steven
uh,
Spielberg's daughter.
huh.
And it's just a local indie movie that she was just in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that's fucking. It's a Massachusetts indie movie that she was in.
See, and I like that. I think, and I think to some extent, like even if people have like that association with like famous parents and stuff, that doesn't automatically bring them success. Like
Correct.
that's not gonna work. Like Nick Cage's son is not gonna have any success in his black metal band, even though it's Nick Cage's son. He's trying, he's doing his thing, but that's never gonna bring you the big bucks.
No, no,
But
you made a choice with your genre there, my friend.
yes. But Gracie Abrams, I could totally see having a fair amount of success. But it was kind of nice because she was playing at the same time as Portugal the Man, so it was a very small crowd, very intimate crowd, and she played at a stage that was just it's called the treehouse, and it was just basically tucked like in the back of a little like wooded area, and like you're literally under like cover of trees, and it's just quiet and dark and nice, and it was just a really nice stage. And there was also a super cool stage called The Nest, which is just a DJ booth up in the trees, and then the dance party was down below. So
I think that's awesome.
that was pretty neat. Also, we caught a pretty funny video of people singing Dancing Queen at a silent disco. So, they're all wearing the headphones and screaming Dancing Queen,
Love it.
but you can't hear the music. So it's just all these people screaming it and just looking insane.
I think
Silent discos are
awesome.
the strangest thing, but I love the idea. I wish I liked to dance because then I would enjoy something like that, but I don't. Like I saw a couple good DJ acts over the weekend, and it's just cool watching them because I like the music, but I'm just like I look around and I'm like I don't know how to quote unquote vibe with these children. So it's just like it is what it is. And then Sunday night finished off with Lizzo, and that was my favorite act of the weekend because
I was gonna say I knew Lizzo was there. That must have been up there.
God, I mean, she's just so good. Her voice is so good. She's just ridiculous in every way, and she's got what I describe as Andrew WK vibes, where it's just so much positivity that you can't help but enjoy it. Like even if you don't like the music, even if you don't like her performance, like you can't help but respect that level of positivity, and that is my favorite thing about her.
When your performer exudes the fact that they're just as jazzed to be there as you, that's very important.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. And that was why I also say Billie was like close second, because she had that exact thing where she's just looking around like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like, and every performer has to do that every show to some extent, but I think that those were like some of their first shows back, and they really did have that level of shock of like, wow.
Oh, this is what I do. Whoops.
Yeah. So, but that is I think I condensed that to about 20 minutes.
No,
So
it's
I
wonderful.
I tried my best, but that was, I mean, just every act of that show. Like, you could look at the lineup and just see every act of that show was great, and it's impressive how well the festival was put together, because it was mildly chaotic and there were problems. Like the first 2 days, like people were not all getting checked with their like vaccination stuff. You were supposed to get a wristband. Not everyone had those. It's like a lot of people were like, I want to get the wristband, but like no one's checking our stuff. So that always is mildly concerning. You just hope that everyone showed up with the expectation of that. So they're
I
mostly
think that's what they're going
anyway.
for. They're going for
Yeah.
the, if we tell them and make it a requirement, we can kind of be like honor system after
You at
that.
least have that, yeah, and that's understandable. And of course, with the first day of rain, you had a lot of mud on the first and second day,
Oh yeah.
but you can't help that. And for everything that happened, as many things as happened, I'm surprised we didn't have more artists cancel. But that's unfortunately just going to be a thing that happens, I think, from now on, especially with festivals, where between like people coming in from other countries and having problems getting in from that, and then people testing positive last minute for COVID, people have to drop off, unfortunately. So we did have a few artists that like dropped like within a few days of the show, and a few that dropped like the day before their show. And surprisingly, Firefly did a good job of actually having replacements like at the ready. So,
Good. Oh, that's awesome.
but it was a great time. I thought I'd be more intimidated by going back, but I also think that just the pure adrenaline of getting back to a music festival was just kept me going no matter what. Like, I don't think I could have not enjoyed it. It was impossible. So that was my big thing of the last month or so.
Yeah,
God,
it's
it's been a
good.
month now. Holy crap.
I mean, my takeaway, and it sounds like yours is too, is that the experience hasn't been tainted too badly
No.
by any of the new requirements, rules. This is the thing, everyone was like, "Oh, the world, oh, you people that want everything to have rules and regulations are getting your wish." And it's like, no, I mean, I went to a concert and it was still just as nuts as it always is. I
Yeah. Like
And for
like
better or for
you can
worse.
you can set the standards, you can set the expectations, but I mean, how many concert venues have you gone to that have the big signs down the side that say no moshing, no crowd
Oh,
surfing, and those get broken
Jesus.
immediately?
No,
Like,
no, no smoking in here.
yeah, they
Yeah.
post those to say don't do this, don't do this thing, but it's gonna happen. But we're saying don't do it for the sake of saving our asses.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, I mean it was a good time all around. So
So you
concert
were
season is back.
you were describing a band, a singer, a rapper, wearing like the multi layers of clothes. What was the name of this person again?
Kenny Hoopla
Yeah,
was like
okay.
that
That's no, that
because
that was
he
the. It made me think of something because I know Kenny Hoopla, but have I ever told you about Benedict Arnold, the
Benedict
band,
Arnold.
which is a
No,
great name for a band, number one.
wait, maybe.
So
Uh,
this just made
Go
me
on.
think of them. So Benedict Arnold were a band when I was in college, and they won, like the Battle of the Bands one year and got to play, the field day, and they played alongside of, the big bands the school brought in, and it was great.
Yeah,
And what I loved about Benedict Arnold is it was a bunch of like suit and tie, like indie rock, like progressive rock, like theater music kids,
yeah.
white guys, and then the lead singer, and Buxton Shippey was his name. He was a really good friend of mine, and he was
What?
a very large black man. And
Buxton Ship. That is the
and
best name I've
yeah,
ever heard.
and so they would come out playing like this, like jazzy, like almost like post-hardcore, like Coheed and Cambria kind of riffs, and he
Yeah.
would come out and he would just rap over it, and it was awesome. And he would wear like the multiple coats and like take the coat off during the thing, and like
Yep.
it was unfucking believable how awesome they were. And it just, that explanation made me think of them, because like he'd have the band on stage first and they'd come out and do like a medley of just them dicking around,
Yeah.
playing really cool, like you know just rock music. and then like the beat would drop and he'd come out from behind the stage, and then and it's like, what is going on here? Like it's like melding like 5 different genres into one, and then this guy comes out and just, puts on like a, like a Biggie Smalls show, over the rest of this. It was wonderful. And he
Huh.
called himself Biggie Bucks. That was his stage name. Yeah. And it
That
just,
sounds like good times.
I recorded like 5 or 6 of their shows. I've still got the Benedict Arnold um on my camera case, because they were just a blast.
Good times.
The other
Music helps everything.
the other thing, and I think this came out after you and I recorded our last thing. Did we talk about the Woodstock '99 documentary?
I think we did. I
Okay.
think we did because I think we both had the same of like
Oh,
holy
okay.
shit, like that
Yeah.
stuff
All right.
is so crazy.
Yeah, that was just another thing that popped into my head. Limp
Yeah.
Bizkit's back doing their thing. That's,
They sure
yeah,
are.
good for
Maybe we'll
them.
get that album by the end of the decade.
Good for them.
Yeah.
That's they seem to be happy.
That's all that matters. So I did want to talk a little about the desert bus thing
Yes,
of
please.
the
Oh,
whole.
yes. Yes, Desert
So
Bus is raising money. Let's talk about it.
yeah. So this year, I should have pulled up the date. I don't have it, but it's sometime mid-November, as it usually is. For those of you who don't know, Desert Bus for Hope is a charity event that, if you're watching my screen here, you will see kind of a similar experience to that. But they play a game called Desert Bus, where they drive a bus from Tucson, Arizona to Las Vegas, Nevada. It takes 8 in-game hours.
November 12th, sir, is the
Thank you.
start
I
this
thought
year.
so. Yeah, God, it's so close. I should have been saving more money. Um, but they continuously play this game on a loop until they stop raising money. And last year they actually broke 1 million for their first
Yeah.
time in 1 year, which is phenomenal. And they've raised over, I think, close to 8 million total over the course of their 14 years. I think it is. I think this is year 15. And
Wow.
usually what they do is they have a big in-house kind of thing where they all like perform and like do songs and skits and jokes and just hang out and like do stuff. And last year, obviously because of COVID stuff, they had to do it all remote. So they just were all like different, Skype screens. This year they're still doing that, but they also are planning on having like an in-house like live with a couple people at a time, just to keep the numbers small still and not be like overwhelming, because it's Canada and things are still, they're as progressive as they are, they're still working on getting more vaccinations for them. So they're in that process and they just want to make sure that they're doing things safely, which makes perfect sense. You don't want to risk getting someone sick just for their event that they clearly can do virtually as well. So but it's a great cause. It goes to Child's Play charity, which gives money to children's hospitals, specifically for toys and games and books and just all sorts of things, all sorts of resources. I work at a children's hospital, and I know the importance of having the right toys and distractions for kids who are stuck in a hospital, who can't leave their rooms, who have to be constantly poked and prodded and have all sorts of things happening. It's exhausting. It's infuriating to a lot of kids. And to be able to have things like video games or books to read or coloring stuff or toys, there's so many things that kids need in a hospital setting. And to have a charity that donates to that is just a phenomenal thing. So I've been watching it for, I think, the last like 7 years. And it's just always a fun time. And it goes 24/7 for like 6 or 7 days basically, so you can watch it anytime. You can watch it on their website or straight on Twitch, that they'll have it, Desert Bus for Hope. And it's just a good time, and I just like to advertise for it and tell people about it because I want them to know. And I know you knew about it before, at least to
I
some
did.
extent, because your brother also you used to be on The Escapist with
Loading
Ready
Ready Run.
Run. So he did make a few appearances on a few years as like guest call-ins. So it was just another one of those things, and they've had all sorts of guests, like all bunch of The Escapist folks, like Yahtzee and Movie Bob, and then a couple others. They've had like the McElroy brothers and um, like people from the Mythbusters
Yep.
and
I think Penn and
scientists and
Teller were on there once.
yep.
If I'm.
So and the game Desert Bus is actually made by Penn and Teller. It was an
Yep.
unreleased Sega game. So Penn and Teller have actually called in at least once every year. They've made some sort of appearance. The first year Teller actually called in and bought them all Subway sandwiches. So
Nice.
the first year, like when they were just like, oh well, maybe we can make like $1,000 to donate to charity, and they made $21,000 and got a personal call from Teller, and then it's been all uphill from there. And like last year, Penn, I don't know what they did last year for their prizes, but usually Penn would call in and do a prize pack of like, you can come to see our show and get like a VIP seating, and we'll get you the hotel to stay in, and then he'll usually offer something crazy like go golfing with my wife or something like that. Like, and that always raises a huge amount of money as well. And they do all their money raising through just like they'll do like prize runs where you can donate a certain amount and be entered into a raffle. They also have like live auctions that they do and silent auctions and just all sorts of things. There's a whole ton of entertainment from it, and I just want people to know more about it and check out more about it because it's just a fun time. And the group that does it is Loading Ray Run, and they are just a bunch of internet comedians who ended up making a great thing that can raise money. And considering
Awesome.
that they're not like the biggest internet thing, it's shocking how well they've done over the years.
You were spot on. It's the 15th year, and they've raised over $7 million.
Yeah. So it's just something, and it's such a wonderful experience, and you can tell how much they love doing it, even though it's completely exhausting. I love their stories of desert bus amnesia, where they'll be like, we did that, like people are like, oh yeah, that was one of the funniest things, and they're like, I don't remember that at all, because when you spend 12 hours a day sitting in a room cracking jokes for an entire week, like it all blends together, I'm sure.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just a cool experience, and it's like 98% family friendly. Every now and then there'll be a slip up of an occasional cuss word or something that's maybe not completely appropriate, but they usually save most of like the slightly less appropriate stuff for like the overnight shifts. And it's just fun times. Like they'll do like trivia things and all sorts of silly stuff. They have awesome prizes, lots of handmade stuff by the fans, usually video game or nerd culture related. They get a lot of sponsorship stuff through like the Magic the Gathering stuff. So if you like uncut sheets of foil cards from an entire set, there's usually that. So anyone who likes like rare, interesting prizes like that should definitely check it out. But yeah, I just wanted to, I thought, this will be a good time for us to record a video and do something to try and advertise for the events, and like in a timely manner. Cause I always feel I'm always way behind with stuff. I'm always like, oh, I should record this for Halloween. And then I realize I'm like, oh, like that, I needed to record that like a month ago. It's
Oh yeah.
in time every time. So, but yeah, so I figured this would be a good way to raise a little awareness and just pass this around, because you've got yourself a pretty good crowd of folks who listen, and
those folks should watch your videos because you
that
put
would
a lot
be
of good
nice.
time into them.
I'm having a fun time. I have over 300 videos now, which is insane.
That's
And
awesome.
and I'm currently at, which I feel like, as saying this, like I feel like most people will go, why do you keep making these videos? I have 88 subscribers, and
But you
and
know what? That's so
but I'm
cool.
happy. Like it is funny though, because I'm one of those weird people who, I do have a YouTube account and I subscribe to the channels I want to watch, and I pretty much watch everything that I subscribe to, which I feel like I must be in the minority for that, because in my head I'm like 88 subscribers, so every video should have 88 views at least. That is not how that works.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's interesting how that does work. But you know what? Hey, I have one video that's mildly popular and I like that. So, everyone can go watch the Lego Island video if they want to get a taste of what people like the most apparently, which is Lego Island, which I really I wish that game could be remade. I miss the old games from before I had real video games. I had
Yep.
children appropriate PC games.
Yep. I loved those. I loved
uh,
those.
yeah, it's there's so many classics, but I've got a ton of videos up, and I'm right now in the middle of, so I don't know when this video will go up, but I'm right in the middle of playing Portal 2 and
Woohoo.
stacking, which Portal 2, everyone should know what Portal is. It's fantastic. I've only been able to play it now because I finally got a capture card and I could record from my PlayStation. And
Nice.
stacking, if you don't know, it's made by Double Fine. So the guys who did like Psychonauts and the old it's Tim Schafer's company. So he made the old like point and click adventures like the Day of the Tentacle and all those
Yep.
ones. So it's got but stacking is like it's like set in like almost like late 1800s, early 1900s kind of thing, and it's you play as like the Russian stacking dolls, and you solve puzzles.
Oh, I've heard
like
of this
combining
game.
yourself with other dolls, and it's so good, and it's so underappreciated, and I wish it would have been popular enough to like make a sequel and to like have more attention, but it's so worth playing, and I highly recommend it to anyone who wants like an interesting, beautiful experience that is unlike any other game that I can find. Like it's almost like if you made BioShock a kid's game, you'd get like something along the lines of that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about this.
Yeah, it's super cute.
You mentioned all those point and click games, and I had a guy on recently who I met through Shamim Dana, who's a huge Blockbuster video fan. He's a collector. He's a fantastic guy, and he knows all these people. And so he'll say sometimes, hey, my friend so and so would love to be on your show. This guy, his name was C. Andrew Nelson. I don't know if you've heard the
What
episode or
was his
not.
name?
C. Andrew Nelson.
That name sounds familiar.
So C. Andrew Nelson had an interesting career. C. Andrew Nelson started working for LucasArts.
Uh-huh.
And while working for LucasArts, on games like Grim Fandango and Monkey Island,
Yep.
and all like, just
All
just
classics.
to name a few, right? And X-Wing, all he worked on all of them, right? And he was an art designer, like he did like matte paintings and stuff like that. And he said while he was working on that, he got a call from upstairs. So, and LucasArts back when, it was in the same building as, everything else, like
Right.
Lucas related. And they said, hey, you're about X height, right? And he said, yeah, why? How much do you weigh? How big's your waist?
Yes.
Yeah. So he ended up being the guy who has been in the Darth Vader costume from the original movie more than any other actor.
I knew I recognized that name.
But then he also then got a job through that working for ILM, and he did all like the digital matte painting work for the Star Wars prequel trilogy and Galaxy Quest and like all this, like it's like fantastic. And it's like, and like I didn't know that when I started talking to him, and I approach everyone that comes on the show like trying to learn who they are during talking.
You want to get a little bit down, yeah.
But like I'm just sitting there going, oh my god, like I didn't know who I was about to talk to. And like that's what's fantastic with that guy is he'll be like, yeah, I was thinking, maybe I could try to get Weird Al on your show. It didn't work out, but he reached out to him through the drummer, which he knew. Like it's like that's fantastic,
I love that stuff, dude. I got to see Weird Al for the first time like 2 years ago. I saw his tour with the non parody songs where it was all his original songs.
Yes.
That was one of the best shows I've ever seen. Because
his originals are so underappreciated.
They really are. And God, you just really appreciate how good his band really is because they are just so talented and work so well together. And it was so much fun. And now I feel bad because I'm like, now I need to see like a real Weird Al show, but I feel like it's not going to be as good as this one because like this one I get to appreciate him as a musician as opposed to his regular shows where you get to see it more as a comedy act.
Right. And I've heard in his regular shows he still mixes in the originals.
Yeah.
Just not as, often. But oh god, yeah. I still, every time someone goes, "What's your favorite Weird Al song?" and no one knows this song, so it's Bob,
Oh, Bob's great.
and there's nothing to it, but it's like
Well,
it's
it's
a
so
parody
clever.
song, but it's a parody like it. It's
It's a
like, what are you doing?
stylized parody.
I like, what if I made a literal Bob Dylan song and the
Yeah,
whole thing, and I'm just like, oh, this is brilliant. Like I like and
and it's all
I sat down and tried I am Regal, a German am I. Like, oh
right.
god, this is
And
fucking
and as you listen
fantastic.
to it, you're like, well, this is I don't get what he's like saying or what these words mean, and then you find out later what it actually is, which was
Yep.
that all the lyrics were written as what is it? Oh shoot.
Anagram, is that what it's called?
It's close to that. It's where the writing of the letters is the same forwards and back. So like the
Correct.
entire sentence where he'll do an entire line, and if you read that whole line
Yeah,
front to back,
anagram is
it's
the
the same.
rearranging.
That's it.
What's
Yeah, it's
crap? I know this too.
yeah. If- but yeah, that
We are
was
doing this off the cuff, folks.
yep, absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. I should know this because it was said so many times in the
Palindrome.
that's it, palindromes.
I
I should have known that
palindrome
because
I.
the Dimitri Martin stand-up special where he would talk about all those, where he did like an entire like 2-page essay of an entire, and the whole thing was a palindrome.
Get Dimitri
Like
Martin's so
that
funny.
stuff's so crazy when people can put those together and like realize that. Like,
Lisa
but it's one
Bonet
of those
ain't
things
no
that's such a
basil.
useless talent.
I'm reading through the lyrics to Bob right now,
uh,
and Lisa Bonet ain't no basil.
they're just his stuff. He is just so clever, and it's one of those things where like and this is how like lots of comedy things are when people don't realize how smart some of the comedy stuff is written. Like it, this one's gonna sound ridiculous, but I feel like because of how silly and inappropriate they are, some people don't realize that like if you listen to a lot of Bloodhound Gang songs,
Yes.
they are so cleverly
Oh
written.
God,
Like
yeah.
his rapping and rhyming stuff where you just like you how did you come up with this? Like you're using the strangest references and pieces of information to make these songs that like are just their own strange thing.
It's like,
And
you just heard dick and fart jokes, but I'm
yeah,
actually very intelligent. It's like,
right.
oh shit.
Right, like I and like I wish I feel like as strange as this sounds, but like if I was ever to get like a quote like tattooed or something, I love their one song. It's too long of a quote that in my opinion, but it's their one song where the chorus is "Life is an aimless drive that you take alone. Might as well enjoy the ride. Take the long way home." I'm like, that's
Yep.
genuinely like good poetic
And
advice.
profound. And
Yes,
like, oh,
that's genuinely well written. Like, and it's just I don't know. They're just silly, and I really they kept saying that we will not reunite until President Trump is gone. So I'm just keep being like I just keep looking. I'm like, please guys, please come back. We
oh,
need
they're a
that
fucking
reunion. Make
riot.
it a
I would
Riot
love
Fest
that.
reunion. That's where it
Oh,
needs to be. 20 years of hooray for boobies. Come back, do that show. That's what we need.
is there a bet like I remember on there was some MTV show. I forget what it was now, but Matt Pinfield I think was the host, and it was on late at night, and it was like the like raunchier,
Yeah,
new videos, and they
the
played the
late
Bad
video.
Touch,
Oh.
and I'm just sitting there going, what the fuck is this? And of course, as soon as everyone saw that, everyone bought the album.
Uh-huh.
And you're greeted with one of the best album openers of all time in I Hope You Die,
Oh, it's
which
so good.
is a
Another great
brilliant
example.
fucking song.
Yeah,
Like, like
just
the song is so
layers and
goddamn
layers.
complicated.
Yep. Like it's telling a whole story, but also like a million references. Like their songs are almost like a cartoon. Like
Yeah.
if you made a video out of it, it would be like ridiculous. There'd be a million things happening, and you just be like, where do we start and where does this end? And the fact that they have a start and an end for so many of their songs, where they're like telling a tale in the weirdest way, and sometimes that tale is just like Hey, I do stupid things. Let me tell you my list of stupid things.
Yes, I have a list. Let's listen to them.
But they all rhyme and they're all cleverly written. And look at these 80s references and 90s references.
Oh my
Good
god.
times. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on. Oh, hey, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, you do a cool thing. You do what is it? Dad, it's
Oh
like your
shit.
dad day camp thing that you do.
Yeah, I haven't got to talk about that in a while.
Yeah. So you basically, and I haven't looked into it as much because I am not a dad, but you basically do like almost like a get together talk so that new dads can kind of ask questions and like learn about stuff and get opinions and stuff from
Yeah,
dads who
dude,
are currently in the process, right?
it's so cool, and it's not something I knew you needed until I went to the course. And it's not even like, if I had to do, it's kind of, I'm gonna let people in on the secret a little bit, but if you can't tell by listening to my shows, I'm just really good at talking to people. I didn't know that it was something that I was this good at, but I'm very
Mhm.
good at it. So I actually have the notes from it sitting right to the right of me, because where I'm sitting right now is where I run it right now, because we're doing it virtually. But it it's basically um like a self-help group, like an AA meeting kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Where I have a set list of things that I think are important to talk about, but we go around the room, and what I started out with is, I tell the guys, hey, look, at number one, congratulations. Has anyone told you that yet? Do you know what I mean? Because
It's
they're
the
and again,
dads are just kind of forgotten a little bit.
and it's weird, but like the hospital has this. I'm trying to change this, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
say it. The class right now is intentionally designed to be a little bit sexist, and it's the hospital's thing. Like, it's the time where you go with your buddies and grab a beer and like scratch and grunt,
Yeah.
and that's what they want it to be. But what they don't realize is there's almost no dads I get in this group that are like
No.
that.
There's a changing dynamic
I'm
because
I'm looking at 25-year-old, like Gen Z, Zoomer kids that are
yeah,
horrified. They haven't had a good father figure to tell them what to do, or
yep.
whatever it is. And so the other thing, like and again, I'm not going to say people's names or anything, but this has been a changing thing. The group of people that run this, and again, this is a stereotype, but it's being put on by the lactation consultants and the birthing people at the hospital. They are primarily retirement aged women in
Yeah.
New England. So what are they? They're very, very, very conservative and Christian in upbringing.
Yep.
So you get this, like, thing where I always say, hey, and I've only been doing this for about 2 years, but apparently this has been an issue, according to them, where, oh, what if a woman wanted to go? Because they brought this up to me like it was like this hush hush thing, and I'm like, so you told them they could come, right? And they were like, absolutely not. This is for men. And I'm like, but the woman is in a same sex relationship. Yeah, yeah. And their partner is pregnant. I'm like, yeah. The point of this class is, what does the person that is not the one carrying the baby in the relationship do?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's a good point. And I'm like, it does not matter if they have a dick or not. Like, and so I'm
Boy, those
trying
words
to,
are more important now than ever.
well, and I'm trying to change that, because they say, well, what if there was a trans person? Wouldn't that make the men uncomfortable? And I was like, I honestly don't
If it
think
does,
so.
get over it.
But I said, I honestly, one, don't think so. And two, the whole point of this class is to give them an open forum to
Yeah.
discuss what makes them uncomfortable. So I say, at the beginning of the class, there's no judgment here. I'm not tattling on you. Your wife isn't listening in. The hospital isn't here. If you feel slighted, if you feel upset about something, if you're like, why is my wife getting all this attention? Great. If you feel that way, say it. Do you know what I mean? And they
Yeah.
love it. People love it. They eat it up, because the whole point of it is they're there's a person whose body is connected to a thing that's growing. They
Yep.
have a whole big slew of shit that they got going on. And of course, they're going to be the person that the focus of all of this stuff is going to be about, because they're the one whose body is literally being siphoned away from to create the new living thing. But
Right.
as a two-step thing, as a father, you are part of that one. And even if not, like I'd like to have a guy there, even if they had to go in vitro or they had to have a donor. Like, what, it doesn't have to be the dad. Like, it doesn't, like, we're in a different world. But if you're in that role, there is a chemical, there's a change that's happening with you too that you might not be cognizant of. And the dad or the partner that's not birthing the child can get postpartum too, and they can get all of these things. So it's an open forum which I cater to what they want to talk about, but it's to cover, like, what's work-life balance. Me and my wife both work, or my wife actually is going to be the sole breadwinner and I'm going to be the stay-at-home dad. What's that like? What am I going to have to do? And we can talk about all these things without any judgment. And I think it's really cool. And I love doing it. And no one ever asks me about it. So I think that was super cool that you brought that up, because it really is one of the most, it's the best feeling getting through. And it's hard, right? It's not like it's a 3-hour, good time of like, I have to, it's not like a podcast where I usually have someone who's like engaged and wants to be there. These are people who are like, this is a Saturday morning. They're giving up their time. They are entering this going, great, another course.
Yeah.
We're all laughing and having a good time by the end. Most of them stay for the meetup group I do with the dads that have had their kids after.
Yeah.
One of the scariest times is I was talking around the room and, I go, hey, who are you? Where are you from? And when's your baby due? Right. And one guy said, oh, my wife is in labor right now. And I was like, really? I go, no, she sent me down here because I was supposed to come to the course. And she said, you should still go. So he goes, I can attest to everything he's saying, because I was doing like the leading up to being in the hospital,
So
and then,
do you do it at the hospital then?
Well, I used to until COVID.
Yeah.
But it was in a conference room at the hospital, and we take them on tours, and they can see the birthing floor and all that stuff. But it's part of that whole package that they get, But
That's
even
super neat.
Like, I've had 35, 40 people like in the room.
Wow.
Running this, and what I do is I have the veteran dads, which they go with the military like joke, like the boot camp, whatever. I inherited it.
You think you've seen a dirty diaper before? You don't see nothing.
Exactly. But what's cool is I get the veteran dads to come in and they help with like the end of the class, because I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, right? There's nothing, if I start telling them stories about that, they're gonna be looking into how we can like hand this kid off to somebody else, because they're going to be terrified, but it's just not the right time, right? You don't want to tell them, and then they start walking and talking back, but it's really cool because they can come in and go, and this is what an actual diaper change looks like, because still so many people don't change diapers. They never have, right? Because everybody treats children, which they should, but everybody treats children like they're something that no one should interact with unless they're the caretaker for the kid, until that kid is of a certain age, right? And I try to remind them, babies are portable. What did we do the first week we were home from the hospital? We went to freaking bar trivia. We took the kid, whatever. You know what I mean? And they're like, you could do that? And I'm like, the world is a different place. And if anyone has an issue with you being there, it's different. I'm not taking them to the Purple Shamrock, in downtown Boston on freaking club night at 11 p.m. But 8:30 at night at a restaurant for trivia, that no one should be giving me the weird eye. You know what I mean? Like, it's
So, quick interruption here.
Yeah.
I just finished the game.
I was playing it for a little while just to get in the groove.
Just to get a feel for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got there. So yeah, I do think because we were recording, my computer was probably taking a little longer to run things because it says an hour, and that was about an hour and 20 minutes. But it just
Well,
when you get to the end, I
were
don't
you playing it before we started talking,
know.
like
I pretty much
officially?
started right when we started talking,
Oh,
like right when we
interesting.
started recording. So
Interesting.
yeah, but yeah, the big reward that I got was words on the screen that said "You win" and then back to the main menu. So pretty much
Yes,
the
you
Desert
win.
Bus response. It's like the gosh, the recent Homestar Runner episode where Strong Bad was playing old games, and he actually had to like highlight it and move across the screen to show it all because it was on his old style computer, and it
Love
just
it.
says he gets to the end, he's like, it just says, dude, you freaking won the level, and that's what you get. That's the end. That's how
I
it shows that you succeeded,
I
and that's all.
love
That's
it.
your prize.
I
uh,
love it.
yeah, so that's I mean, I'm just gonna leave the screen up here as we're talking until we're done. But the game is done, and the game was something special, and my finger hurts, and I'm worried I've worn down my W key to a nothing. But
And you just did it for an hour,
I
so
just did it for an hour. And Desert Bus, they pretty much run on. I think they have the last couple of years they've done 12-hour shifts. So whoever's driving is
what?
driving for about 12 hours. And they will just like, they'll break them out for like bathroom breaks and stuff, but like otherwise you're pretty much sitting in that chair driving for 12 hours.
I think it's
So
genius.
it is. It is. It's seriously, it's shocking. And if you want a taste of things, like just like search on YouTube best of Desert Bus, because they have a YouTube channel where they've basically backlogged almost everything. Like they have stuff from like their second year onward in terms of recordings. So like you can check out all their stuff, and it's so funny. So funny, so much entertaining stuff, and also so much genuine, heartfelt stuff. And they are so open, they are so caring. They are like, the group. Like I don't know if it's just because they're in Canada, or if it's or if they're just a progressive group in general. But you can't find a more diverse group of ages, genders, sexual orientations. They're just like all over the map. Like everything is love, everything is care. They're wonderful people, and they deserve all the attention for it. So yeah. Good old Desert Bus. But and I don't know if we're planning to wrap up anytime soon, but the reason I mainly asked about the dad thing was I am in the process of becoming a foster parent.
Oh,
So
congratulations. Sorry if I
yeah.
droned on and on about that. I'm
No,
just really
no, I
proud of
wanted
it.
you to talk about your thing because I love it. I love the idea, and it's so unique. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, that is such a cool thing for you to do, and to have that in general. I think that's a great idea because so many people need that. I always joke because I work at a children's hospital. I work with kids, and I'm like, I know how to change the diaper of a developmentally delayed 20-year-old, but I don't know how to change a baby's diaper. It's a
Yep,
whole different scenario.
it
So
definitely is.
so I feel like a class like that would be very beneficial for me. But we just turned in our paperwork, so next step is the like the house inspections and all that stuff,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, so we're making that big step.
Do you have a an idea on what age range you're looking?
We're going for young. We're looking like from like infant to like 4 years old,
Oh,
and
wow.
I probably keep it on the younger range, but because we're also open to like siblings, because lots of times if for chance there's like an infant taken away, then they might have to remove like another sibling as well. So we're
Of
open to
course.
that. So that's where we kind of like, I'd say if we get one, I'd prefer it like infant to two. But if they're like, they have a sibling who's 3 or 4 years old, we'll be like, yes, we'll take them too, because
Oh,
it's better siblings together if
that
possible.
kicks ass. That's
So
so awesome.
yeah, that's our big thing that we're doing. And to anyone, we kind of do this as I don't want to say like a last option, but like, we've gone through other processes, and we decided that this was going to be a good option for us. And I think it's good for like people of our age range, and people who are doing well enough for themselves and feel like, maybe kids aren't their thing, but maybe this kind of that questioning. I think that's something that I want people to think about more. Because, people can have their own kids and that's great, but there's always such a need for people to have, there are so many kids in this process of trying to find safe homes, and the goal is to hopefully bring them back to their biological families. But you never know, and sometimes that takes a long time. Sometimes it takes a good loving family to help them along with that, and that's our goal. So that's another thing that I hope more people think about as well. So
I agree. I think it's the best gift you can give, is giving a kid a loving home, because there's too many of them out there that don't have it for whatever reason.
Yeah. So
we have friends that keep doing it.
Yeah.
And and they're just I have trouble having 2 kids and they have 8, and they're all so happy. It's like they just love it. It's like, this is awesome.
Our limit is 2 to start with. That's what we're saying. Our limit is 2. But yeah, we hear so many people where they're like, I've adopted 4 already, and we have 4 more in the house that are in the in process. And it's like, oh my God, the stuff that we hear, it's amazing. Some people, some of the folks that I work with at our hospitals are just phenomenal. When you hear people adopting their 12th or 13th child, and you're like, okay, you do you.
They're just wired for it. That's all I can say. I'm happy to be a resource from when you find out what you're getting for a child.
I have a feeling I will ask questions to any and every parent I know.
I also have a recording of that class.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't share to the world because it's a paid class, but I did it at the beginning of the pandemic, without the hospital asking me. I just sat down in a room and recorded myself doing the course because I'm like, this is gonna get canceled. And then the hospital was so busy with COVID that they didn't make a call on the class, so I just contacted everyone and I'm like, there is no way I'm gonna make you, days away from having a new baby, come to the hospital that it's on lockdown for this course. Here's a recording, please enjoy it, so I can definitely share that with you.
I think that would be wonderful. Thank you.
I enjoy it. It's a lot better with a group of people to bounce things off of, but
I'm sure.
But I still did my spiel. I get to get on my soapbox about vaccines and remind people that there's a reason why cemeteries that are newer don't have teeny tiny gravestones in them anymore.
You don't see as many people with you don't see as many kids growing up with the full body braces, walking around with double crutches and all that. It's kind of significant, kind of important.
Yeah, the world is a awful place, but no, that's so wonderful. I didn't know. I'm so happy for you.
Both. We actually had a little shower this past weekend to get some stuff, because the interesting thing when you become a foster parent is you have to have everything ready for any kids you get. So before you have the kids, you have to have the beds and everything locked up and everything safety prepped and all that stuff. So we're in that process right now, and it's interesting. We actually did at our shower. We were like, you all have a lot of questions, and most of you have the same questions. So we have a trivia quiz here, and we're going to answer some of your questions.
Oh, that's great.
And that was a good way to do it. And some people were like, oh man, you should host trivia in real life. That was really good. And I'm like, I'm not coming up with those questions. My wife came up with all the questions. She did the hard work.
I'm just the MC.
I'm just the guy who's used to holding a microphone. So yeah, that's so to anyone interested in that stuff, look into it. Just ask questions, look into stuff, because the cool thing about it is if you don't have any kids, you can say, hey, put me on pause. Like I need like 6 months off, and that's fine. Or you can say, you know, we changed our mind. We want to take in more kids, or we want to take in less kids, or, you know, we have this age range. We want to change that to a little older, a little younger. Like, they leave you options. And, you know, the only thing they pretty much say is like, don't put down that you want a healthy, non-drug addicted infant from a white family, because, you know, like, if you're gonna be specifying all these multiple things, and if you're basically gonna try and say like, we want a child with no trauma, you're not
Yeah,
gonna
you're not.
get that.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta have an open mind, you gotta have an open heart to do this. You can't like do as she said, like, you know, the person running our classes, she's like, I'm a religious person, but if you are trying to bring in a teenage child who is like gay, and you're trying to convert them and trying to change their minds about things, don't do this. Like,
Yeah.
this is not the place for you to be. You can spread your love in other ways, but this is a person who needs a loving family, and you got to provide that. And so, you know, that's our end goal.
That's so cool.
It is. And you know, maybe we could discuss it on future things, but I think for now you should probably get a little sleep.
Oh
So.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, but I'm happy to learn that all this new stuff about you. That's great. And again, you know, I think this was a great idea for a show, and pointing people to Desert Bus is the, you know, even if we have a, you know, 2% bump in the people that see it, I'll feel good, because
Yep.
they need it.
Yep, just anyone, you know, and they take, like I said, they take donations basically until they don't. Like, they just keep going until the donations have stopped rolling in, and you can sometimes win prizes. You can, you know, get recognized for things. They have all sorts of contests and stuff, and it's just a great experience in general, and just highly recommend everyone watch it. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well,
You
with
got
that,
anything else to
I
wrap
no,
up?
I am gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
Um, so you know, we can both sign off our shows. Thank you for shooting the shit with Chippa again, and I can't wait for everybody to see what else you and I have cooking, because we've got some cool upcoming things we're gonna record as well.
Yeah.
So always a
Yeah. So
pleasure.
to anyone on my thing, obviously check out Chris's channel. The main thing is your podcast. You have so many, probably close to as many of my YouTube videos. You make
Yes.
so many podcasts. It is insane, and everyone should be checking those out. You also have your YouTube channel where you just like post all kinds of little updates and stuff like that, and just all sorts of things. So everyone check out Chris Chipman, or TheChippaMadeThis, and all of his
Yes.
assorted things, and everything else. And check out my thing. So for Chris's stuff, you know, for Chris's fans, I have my YouTube channel, Walk With Me Gaming. I do also, you know, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter as well. Same things. And I also have a TikTok, because I just didn't feel young enough, so I decided to
Ah,
that phase. And you know what? I kind of get it, because it is surprisingly easy to make videos, and I've had fun making a few just silly little videos here and there. So you can follow me on there too. And that's it for this. So I'll go ahead and sign off and say, you know, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.